Rimworld, who would not love you? You question our moral high and low grounds. You send us pyromaniacs when all we have is a wooden building. You send us people unable to do dumb labor when dumb labor is all our everyday's life. You always know what we need least, and you use your prophet Randy to send it to us to make us feel like the small little colonists that we are. So, time for another playthrough. For this playthrough, I decided to dive into the world of the Sangophages, a scenario where you can build up your own vampire colony. Or should I say, vampire empire? I set the storyteller to Randy Random for ultimate chaos, but I went tame with the difficulty for a laid-back yet still chaotic and unpredictable experience. The map seed I chose was Handsome Squidward, which revealed a world just filled with meals and opportunity. I picked a temperate forest just like every boring Rimworld player does, but I just can't handle not growing food all year, and I really dislike mosquito-filled jungles as my starting location. On top, I chose the standard resource combination of marble and granite for pretty statues and sturdy walls. And to add an extra layer of difficulty, I created my own religion named Friends Are Snacks. We're cannibals after all. My followers, fittingly named the Snackos, believed in a gourmet cannibalistic version of vampire worship and refer to themselves as delicious. They enjoy being the meal and the beverage on each party. The holy sanctuary is called the Great Kitchen, and the spiritual leader is the sous chef. So far, so delicious. The leader is called Om Nom Nom in the male version and Om Nom Nomi in the female version, not to be confused with an Om Nom Mummy. As for the colonists that I will fill this world with, I brought Tabitha and the jack-of-all-trades Victor Valentine, who's married to Lorene Paradise, a woman with an annoying voice Victor wants to escape from. Both names could be straight out of adult entertainment if you ask me. I'm setting up a secure base for them in a little ditch in the mountain. It's probably the safest option for now. It's surrounded by more hills that can later be connected by walls. Next, I provided space for them to gather their belongings they landed with. We started off with limited resources, surprisingly no pet and only one weapon, but that didn't stop us from trying to survive at least. I built 2 beds, a research table and set up spike traps to fend off early raids. It is Randy after all, and he could do anything to us. As only one day went by, Victor couldn't resist his hormones and made a move on Tabitha, ultimately cheating on his wife Lorene. Oh my god. I have to give credit to him though, because Victor is unable of social skills. Great. Just as I had finished the 2 beds, they demanded a bigger bed. As if wood grows on trees, but let's focus on growing vegetables instead. Specifically rice, because it has a low yield but it grows fast. Since we need to build up those planting skills, that's very helpful. Our first meal should now be a timber wolf though, because he was meant to be tamed, and when he disagreed to be our puppy, he agreed to be our stew for the evening. Next, I also set up a safe zone so I can lock both in when raids happen. I also placed down a horseshoe stick for recreation purposes. Then I set up a table and chairs so the colonists wouldn't get the mood debuff from eating while standing up. And the first trader came in, and I ended up selling the raccoon meat that I stole from that timber wolf before. While hunting donkeys for fun, we got the chance to name our colony and our group, and I went for the Happy Cannibapires, because I'm peak creative, and our settlement here should be known as Henny Bellington from now on. As the day passed, Tabitha decided to be the leader of the Friends Are Snacks religion, taking the title of the Om Nom Nomi again, not Om Nom Mummy. I reinforced the colony by building new walls that connected to the surrounding mountains, making it even harder for raiders to find a way in. I also made the spike trap at the entrance bigger, creating a longer path for raiders to walk through. Just to make it more fun for them, I guess, and it tenders the meat. Just as I thought we were safe, a manhunter pack with 2 rats approached the colony, but Tabitha quickly took them out. Not even a moment later, another manhunter pack with 2 snow bunnies approached, but Tabitha once again rose to the challenge and eliminated them. Tabitha, the almighty rat and bunny slayer, and this will make them shiver, for sure. A trader arrived at the colony just in time for a mad raccoon to approach and attack Victor. The trader, armed with Molotovs, attacked the raccoon but accidentally set our crops on fire in the process. I guess burning down the food source is one way to deal with mad raccoons? While Victor was grateful for the trader's help with the raccoon, the loss of the crops was a little setback. Thanks for that, trader. I guess we will have to survive on the cooking from Tabitha from now on, or we eat the trader. But for now, I guess we need him though, because We sold all of the terrible bows that Victor created earlier, trying to make himself a weapon. Instead, I bought a sword for him and a dart gun. Tabitha got a steel helmet for her precious little vampire brain. While I already thought Randy was going easy on us, finally a raid from Miasma Pillars came. Just one person, easy for Tabitha. But the unexpected happened when a transport crash landed nearby right after, bringing a colonist named Karen. A pyromaniac. As vampires, fire is a big no-no for us, so we had no choice, but we had to make Karen a different kind of snacko. After making a pretty Karen head, Victor and Tabitha spent a romantic evening researching new weapons together. Another raid from Miasma Pillars came. This time they sent Will, a drug-hating drug addict. I felt so bad for him that I wanted to recruit him. We didn't get a pet after all. Tabitha tried to tranquilize him, but thanks to her bad shooting skills, she had to take a beating to knock him out. A trader came by, but we didn't buy anything because everything we wanted was too expensive and everything we could afford we didn't want. Another trader came by, but yet still we didn't want to buy anything. Victor started to prepare a psychoid field for Will, but I soon realized that nobody of my colony had the growth skill to even start it. Oopsie. Just when things were starting slowly building up and running, an ally came to us with a quest. Protect someone by pulling 2 raids on us. I agreed to it because it would give me a colonist called Maria. More hands to get more work done. Little did I know what it would cost me. The first raid happened and the raider fell into our traps and died. Oh joy, another win for us. The second raid happened and I was excited to get the chance to recruit a 13-year-old wolf boy whose stats didn't look as bad as they could have, right Karen? Unfortunately, him being a wolf boy, he knocked out Tabitha, who was very hard trying not to kill or badly injure him. And things went from bad to worse when he grabs Tabitha, who's laying on the ground, and carries her out of the map, effectively kidnapping her. She was gone and I was left wondering, what the heck? Great, now Maria joins the colony, but at what price? The loss of Tabitha, our leader and key member of our colony since she represented the vampire part in our vampire cannibalism project, that was a heavy blow. I guess that's a price for being greedy for new colonists? Like you get some, you lose some, but hey, at least I got Maria, what a relief, ooh. In the middle of all the chaos, I decided to start the Harmony Jubilee event in hopes of attracting a new colonist to join the colony. And it paid off, cause colonist Rosales found us. Though she might not be perfect, at least she shares the religion. But just as I thought things were going to start and to brighten up, Randy Random strikes again and Rosales, just as Victor, is incapable of social interaction. At least I know that Rosales will be a valuable addition to the colony because of her religion and not because she's a source of food. This is the most secretive religion. We should call ourselves Fight Club because we have a guarantee that nobody will talk about it. In an attempt to improve the colony, I carved 2 more rooms into the mountain. 1 bedroom for the girls and 1 kitchen that would later also serve as a hospital, since both rooms would benefit from being clean. I also switched the psychoid field to smoke leaf for an additional income stream as soon as I could process the leaves. Maria, who tried to replace Tabitha, isn't as terrible for the colony as I thought, but unfortunately she has the wrong religion. The mood debuff that Victor experiences due to the loss of Tabitha, the loss of the leader and the vampire as the center of our religion, drives him slowly crazy. In an attempt to improve his mood, I put lights everywhere. I know at this point I can only help him with small mood buffs, since we are just at the beginning. When explorers reported about an ambrosia sprout, I put a grow zone under it so it gets harvested automatically. More income in case we need to pay a ransom for Tabitha. I did read that ransoms are rare but very expensive. In an effort to keep the religion going, I sent Victor and Rosales hunting together, in the hopes that they would become friends. To improve the mood of the colony, I placed an indoor flower bed to make the indoors a little bit more pleasant. I tried at least. But despite all my efforts, Victor had his first tantrum and ran around destroying things. Maria, who was nearby, quickly ran after him and used the dart gun to knock him out. She then brought him back to his bed. But Victor's mood didn't improve. He woke up later, puking all over the main room. I guess he didn't like my flowers. Randy Random, as always, had a surprise for me. A man-hunting Yorkshire Terrier raid. But it never actually made it to the base. But that was not all. Soon after, a pack of men-hunting hares attacked. Rosales quickly took care of them while butchering the Yorkshire Terrier from the previous raid. To keep the colony more safe, we walled in more around the colony. And as a reward for completing an earlier quest to take in a guest for 14 days, we received another colonist, Chili. Though he may not be perfect, he's a psychopath, which in Rimworld is actually a good thing. He seems to be a decent doctor. He basically spices up our mix of colonists we have. But as fate would have it, Victor was at this point on the brink of a permanent mental breakdown. It was just a matter of time before he would break again, and break he did. Wandering with the days through the map, Chili, in an effort to keep him safe, arrested him, but this led to Victor also losing his leader position. After a long sleep, Victor was released and got his leader position back immediately, but putting him into jail only added more mood debuffs. I was thinking about what would make him more happy, and since he's a recluse, it was time to make him his own bedroom. Meanwhile, Will's drug addiction was getting dangerously close to causing a drug coma, so we couldn't grow Psychoid yet. To keep our colony safe, I decided that I need a new spike trap entrance to catch raids early. I planned it out at the new outside wall. Meanwhile, Victor went berserk, trying to attack Maria, who quickly tranquilized him again. This resulted in Victor getting arrested again, losing his leadership role one more time. Maybe we should keep him locked up for longer this time. In the light of the situation, I decided to give Rosales the leadership role, since she is the only other member of our religion, and for now she seems stable enough to handle it. Her first action was freeing Victor from custody. Maybe not the best idea, but her loyalty is noticed. Victor sheepishly joined Maria, full of guilt, to work on the new spike trap. At the war merchant, I sold some tainted clothing to make space in our storage room. But I also bought 2 new parkers. To distract himself in the evening, Victor started making some clothing for the colonists. Rosales tried to host another Harmony Jubilee event, since we already had so many people who were not part of our religion, and we needed more people who could convert our colonists in the Friends Are Snacks religion. But it went terrible, and everyone hated it, and the mood now was even worse. Following it, Victor had yet another tantrum, and Chili's first action was to arrest him yet again. Will, who had been suffering from not having Psychoid for a few days, had a mental breakdown and ran to the prison cell where Victor was held, helping him to flee. Both had to be stopped. Chili ran into the cell and gave both of them punches with a wooden lock. Will ran out, and so did Victor. Maria, who was informed about what happened, got ready with her dart gun after she heard that Victor was shooting with a bow at people in the colony. While she ran towards the house, Victor ran towards the exit into her arms. It was too late to tranquilize him. She had to melee him back into his cell. Will, who had started to realize what he had just done, helped her, and together they got Victor back into his cell. As the colony struggled to come to terms with the recent event, Rosales stepped up and fixed up Maria's wounds. Will, filled with guilt, left and wandered around the colony in a depressed state. But things took a turn for the worse when Chili started to insult everyone in the colony, blaming them for what just happened. But Rosales had enough, and just as Chili said that her food tastes like dog food, she slapped him with a pen through the face, leaving Chili laying on the floor next to his wooden lock. Maria picked him up, delivered him to his bed, and told him to never mess with a chef. With the recent events, the primary religion of the colony changed, and was this the end of Friends Are Snacks? Maria took care of some more recreational possibilities. To calm everyone down, she installed a chess table. Chassis, the demon boy who finally got recruited, thanked it with an ambrosia binge. And to be honest, at this point I really don't care about people's bad decisions, because I cannot babysit adults behaving like toddlers. And the afternoon took a turn for the worse when Rosales, the designated leader of the colony, snapped after feeling disrespected by the other colonists. Fueled with anger and armed with her inherited sword that belonged to Tabitha, Rosales turned berserk and attacked Chassis, the new colonist who was still high on ambrosia, slicing through his face with the sword. As Chassis lay on the ground screaming in pain, Rosales turned her attention to Will, who had made fun of her earlier. She hit him with the handle of the sword while he was sleeping, causing Will to flee out of the door into the free land, and Rosales followed him in her rage. Meanwhile, Maria, who was out collecting herbal medicine, heard the screaming and yelling and ran towards it, carrying her trusty dart gun. As Will saw Maria, he hid behind her, and she managed to shoot a tranquilizer arrow into Rosales' shoulder. As Rosales grew sleepier and sleepier, she tried to hit Maria but ultimately dropped to the ground. Maria picked up Rosales and carried her back to her bed. As Rosales lay tucked into her own bed, tended by Maria, she was unaware that Shazith, the colonist she had attacked first, had died from her attack. The sun was setting on the colony and the end of another day was near. Maria, the most hardworking member of the community and the person who is keeping everything together, is digging out a grave for Shazith. Just as she is about to get the corpse to bring it to the grave, she collapses in the field. Her own wounds from a hard day's work taking their toll. Chili, noticing Maria's condition, rushes to her side, picks her up, carries her back inside and tends to her wounds. Victor takes the task of burying. The ceremony, quick and cold, a reflection of the colony's current state. Hurt, depressed, or on the brink of it. As the colony rests, Rosales whispers, "Victor, I had to do it," referring to the reinstation of the main religion and the colony now that Shazith is gone. A true leader in the time of crisis. But the troubles are far from over. Chili, who had been close with Shazith, falls into a drug binge and overdoses. And just as he's recovering from that, another raid from the neighboring community happens. The attacker stumbles into a corner trap and made a good dinner for that night. A transport crash lands near the colony, and the new colonist Rolf seems like a good addition to the community, and Maria, ever the caretaker, tends to his wounds. Will, still struggling without his drugs, also refusing to take them ever again, has yet another breakdown. He attacks 3 visitors who had come to the colony asking for shelter for the night. The ensuing scuffle leaves Will injured and the visitors shaken. With the lack of medical beds, the bedroom is converted into a makeshift hospital, and the colonists are left to sleep on the ground. But the visitors' injuries are not the only thing to be concerned about. Due to the unsanitary conditions, 2 of the guests developed infections. One in the arm, the other one in the torso. And despite the best efforts of the doctors, the infection spreads and ultimately the patient with a torso infection passes away. Chili, desperate to save the other patient, decides to amputate the infected arm. The surgery is successful and the infection is now fully under control. The colony finally calms down. Will slowly heals and the injured guests recover. The colony takes a small respite to plan for bigger things. Rebuilding and then recovering friends as next. I would love to say we are off to a good start, but when the first thing you see is that your prisoner Rolf from the transport crash earlier has just starved, the day doesn't start well, at least not for Rolf, since we have something to eat for now. Thank you, Rolf. Everyone was so busy having tantrums and trying to turn each other into meals that they totally forgot that this colony doesn't run on its own. But let's not stick to the past, but look into the future. We really need to get our colony and our food production going so we can escape the circle of tantrums and breakdowns. First, we need to strengthen our religion. Friends, us next. For what we got a few more pieces of furniture that will help us have better ceremonies. Victor put all his effort into building them. Lastly, he even added a pew so people could sit down during those ceremonies. No tired legs or back pain anymore. When trying everything out, by having a harmony jubilee, it actually resulted in a fun event. Unfortunately, it didn't trigger a colonist joining us, but we're in a good way with this. The makeshift hospital from earlier was converted back into a bedroom again. The colonists deserve their sleep, and in Will's case, he won't wake up that quickly anymore because he's now in a coma for not having psychoactive drugs for too long. I do fear we might lose him this way. So far, no trader had psycho drugs for us. We still have occasional risk of breakdowns like Chili here, who decided to take a walk to get to other thoughts. But it's already a big improvement from how it was before. The ambrosia is growing nicely and the colonists keep farming on it on their own. I decided to send Victor hunting a little more because we can't rely on raids providing enough food for now. Making people starving less will improve their mood, so it's a little effort for a lot more peace in the colony. While Victor hunts, Rosales is standing in the kitchen cooking all those meals for the colony. She has the best cooking skill, and this way we can also avoid food poisoning. When Victor came back, he decided to repair everything that was damaged during one of the many tantrums. I don't even remember who had this one. After that, he visits Shiseth's grave, probably thinking about the things that could have been avoided. The big cleanup of the main room has started. Victor finally moves his bed into the new room in the mountain and puts a nice wooden floor in it. While at it, I decided to give the whole base a wooden floor, because there's no reason not to. It will improve the look of the room and the colonists will feel happier. The colonists look like little ants working together and filling tile to tile with wood. Another thing that really ruined the mood was that they basically lived in a storage room. So I built more shelves. They not only reduce the space you need from storing things, but they also hide away the stored goods from the colonists' eyes so they don't feel terrible around it. Next, I played a little Rimworld Tetris to move the production tables around so they take less space. More open space means we can place more religious furniture to improve our ceremonies. The mood bars on our colonists already look so much better. I moved the dinner table so more colonists have a spot to sit down and maybe even eat together. While I felt really good about myself and the progress I made, Victor got the flu. Usually this would have been a reason to panic, but since everyone is calm for now, he could be tended to without issues. I did place a medical bed into the clean kitchen as planned earlier to have a better treatment quality, as both the kitchen and the hospital have improved quality with a cleaner room. Victor recovered from his flu in the kitchen hospital while Rosales took over his job for hunting. I expanded the size of one of my fields to have more rice at the end of the harvest. It was always barely sufficient to feed everyone and having some extras won't hurt. And while I was doing it, a transport pod crashed on our colony and a colonist named Bardoabra was lying injured on our land. I decided for now to not recruit him because I didn't want to endanger our religion again. Also, if we heal him and he leaves our map healthy, our relationship with his colony would improve. Earlier I made a crop field for trees, but I decided to not leave it empty until I have the required plant skill, but also use it for rice. A group of travelers came by our colony asking for medicine. Unfortunately, we used up a lot of our medicine during the 23.5 tantrums that the colonists had, so I couldn't spare any. While Randy said I could harvest these travelers without any consequences, I denied it. For now, I'm okay, but thanks, Randy. I also finally got to place the spike traps in my new entrance. The thing is there forever, and all my colonists did was hunting each other down in there, but not using it for what it was actually meant for. I also tried for a leader speech and it went terrible, and I don't really know what I expected considering that my leader has no social abilities. I might skip these for now. It was only now that I realized that my fishing zone that I set up in the very beginning of this playthrough was way too small. They couldn't even fish here, and that's why they didn't use it at all. I was already wondering about that, and I blame myself for setting it up during the stream, so I tend to not read carefully, because I clearly got a warning about it. But now it's part of our food production too. One thing that's out of my control was raids. They would have happened regardless, so this time it was the Hoseville Fire Home, Fire Demon People. There was also the perfect chance to test the new trapped entrance. And it worked like a charm. They even left us some silver we might need to pay the ransom for Tabitha. When another merchant arrived, I sold him all of the terrible weapons the raiders left behind. I also bought more medicine and a pair of links. I wanted them as a protection around the base. But then I realized just later that they are not even trainable. A manhunter pack arrived at the colony and it was Yorkshire Terriers again. I have no idea what Randy's deal is with Yorkshire Terriers, but this is like the third Yorkshire Terrier manhunter raid I have. Randy got me another quest. If I house 2 prisoners, I will get a new colonist. I thought this might be a good way to get more helpers, and I also hope that in 14 days I have my religion figured out. I built a second prison cell so I could have them both apart from each other and accepted the quest. The prisoners were a wolf boy, not the one that kidnapped Tabitha, I checked that, and the demon guy. A thunderstorm had set the forest around me on fire, and one of the fires endangered my northern wooden wall. Yet again! I did have to replace it already once because of fire, and I didn't want to do it yet again, so Maria and Rosales kicked out the fire close to the wall. One of our previous captured prisoners ended up in an execution ritual to boost the mood a little bit. Since that went fine, I also thought it was smart to start another Harmony Jubilee, but people found it quite boring and I didn't get another colonist again. Sad times, but we need to keep trying. I decided to now, better late than never, set up electricity with a wooden generator. While building new walls, because you can't put cables into raw rock walls, I got another quest, this time from the Shattered Empire. They asked for some help for the next 6 days. I thought about it a little, but then, since I want to build up Maria's standing with the Empire, I sent her to work with them. Maria has been a big help, and I think especially with these 2 prisoners, it might be a good idea to have 1 eater less, and on the long run, the honor with the Empire will hopefully pay off. Maria stepped into the shuttle, looked back for a last time, and then she was gone. Right after, another ambrosia sprout shot out of the green grass close to us, and I told the colonists to harvest this once it's grown. The placement for the walls for the cables took a little longer than expected. The wooden generator is now only a temporary solution because we live close to a geyser and we will be able to get a lot of electricity later on. Right after, the pig people raided us, but again it was just 1 person, but this one brought weapons for our colony, so Maria will be very happy to see this once she's back. Another day, another thrumber, am I right? It's back to the grind at our little colony, so I had an idea this morning, and it's a good one if I do say so myself. Have you noticed how much food goes to waste because it doesn't last long enough? It's like, hello, we have electricity now. Can we get like a fridge or something? I mean, talking about inefficiency. We're basically forced to overproduce just to have fresh food available. It's a total time waste. So I had this game-changing idea, like having a fridge room. And not just any fridge room, but one that's conveniently located right next to the kitchen. So you can just walk in, out, simple as that. Plus, I found the perfect little spot in the mountain that's just begging to be used for that purpose. It's like it was made for being a fridge room. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to tackle that pesky fire hazard in the northern world. I'm talking a full-on granite upgrade. Say goodbye to worrying about random forest fires. It's all under control now. Now we got a little bit of a situation here. One of the prisoners I took in for a quest offered to be re-socialized by me, which would definitely violate the terms of the quest, and I'm supposed to only keep them safe and secure, plus he got chemical interest, which on the long run might not be worth it, especially considering all of his other skills. I mean, if he had insane stats, I might consider it, but right now it's not worth the trouble. I've started giving the colonists the task of shaping the mountain wall outside of the house. The plan is to build a dedicated religious room, and in this case our religion calls it the Great Kitchen. Having a dedicated room means better quality of our religious rituals and also keeps the bloodstains of the executions only in one room, and I call this a win-win situation. I've got a few irons in the fire with these building projects now, and I might have to be a little bit patient, especially since my colonists need to make more granite stones to fit the demand. But I did put down some wooden walls for the Great Kitchen just to get a rough idea how it might look. On another note, Randy decided to send us a gift in form of a mad doe attacking us, but lucky for us, we have got 2 entrances that are trapped now, so I'm not too worried. Sure enough, it ran straight into the spike trap. And that's what happens when your food comes to you. Things are coming along nicely with the walls for my new walk-in freezer. I've also instructed my mining colonists to start removing parts of the mountain walls to create space for the room. And just as I was celebrating this progress, a royal tribute collector and a shaman trader arrived almost simultaneously. Unfortunately, I don't have any gold for tributes, but I do have some silver to spend on the shaman trader. My main hope is that I can get some psycho drug for the will. It might be my last chance to bring him out of this drug coma. We don't have good enough planters yet, and even if we had them now, it would take way too long to grow it. Unfortunately, the trader did not have the right drugs for will, so we all know what that means. I had to sell the dinosaur that self-tamed last time, and sell all the ambrosia, and bought a pair of alpacas for wool and meat instead. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more weird, a wild woman, you know, like one of those humans who choose to live like animals in the wild, wandered into my trap area. I decided to arrest her. She doesn't have the best stats, she's a waster, means she also needs psychoids, but she might be a good way to improve the colonist execution skills. I don't have enough people in my religion to do this right now, so keeping her just in case might be a good thing. Always better being prepared, right? While all of this is going on, my colonists have been working hard and have turned the future Great Kitchen into an enclosed room and started hauling out the boulders that were laying on the ground from removing the wall. Since there are no windows in Rimworld, giving them a torch as a light source makes them work faster, and that's pretty much crucial for the future. On another note, somebody apparently forgot to hold the silver. Whoopsie. The mining is going a bit slower than I would like to, so I've decided to manually tell Victor to remove specific parts of the wall to speed things up. So good news, the traders from earlier decided to leave me a gift, which is much needed because clothing is an issue with my people right now. And then Maria returned from her quest helping the Shattered Empire, and the first thing she did when coming back was throwing a party for everyone celebrating to be home again. I have to say, Maria was the replacement for Tabitha, but she's doing a great job keeping the mood of the colony up during everything. However, just as the party ended, Chili and Maria both started fighting over something. Maybe Chili, who's now the main doctor, just needs some training tending wounds, and so he just makes himself some wounds. And while those two work out their issues, I finally picked the floor for the Great Kitchen. I want to get it done quickly, so wood it is. But who knows, I might move this room somewhere else once we get more settlers and we need more room. As I was checking on Maria's health tab, I noticed that she was actually missing a leg. Must have been lost in one of the recent battles, so I thought why not give Chili more extra training and make her a peg leg. It's not pretty, but it's better than nothing. Chili was all over it like white on rice. You could tell he has been eyeing that leg stump for weeks now and couldn't wait to fix it up for her. The surgery went successful and Maria can now walk a little bit faster again. Then the shuttle arrived to take away the 2 prisoners that I was supposed to keep safe for a few weeks. It came sooner than I expected it, but it also means that I now have some extra space in our prison cells. The colonists quickly grabbed the 2, threw them into the shuttle, eager for them to leave. Unfortunately, as the shuttle arrived, the thing we wanted to avoid happened and Will passed away due to not having psychos for 60 days. It is sad, but in a way it brings closure to the situation since he really hated the drug he was addicted to. The prisoners finally said goodbye and we got a new recruit, Ivy, to join our ranks, and lo and behold, she is one of us.
One of us, one of us, one of us.
This means we can finally get someone to be the sous chef of our religion to start recruiting people. But of course, Randy had to make it complicated because the third person in our religion, Friends Are Snacks, apparently has all the social skills of a rock. I mean, really, Randy? You couldn't have found someone with at least a little bit of social skill? Nope. Randy just loves to see us suffer. But hey, a sous chef is better than no sous chef at all, so the job goes to Victor. He may not be able to convince people that our religion is cooler than the others, but he can at least help us unlock a few more rituals. Baby steps, people. Baby steps. With the religion set, we can now move all the furniture and artifacts over to the great new kitchen. Next, we'll try out the conversion ritual in the Great Kitchen. It would be amazing to turn Maria to our religion, but I think her belief in the current religion is pretty strong and Victor isn't exactly a smooth talker. But we'll give it a shot. And to our surprise, the conversion was successfully. She's not fully convinced, but she lost a big chunk of her belief, so it looks like we don't need a silver-tongued devil to make it happen. That's really promising. The walk-in freezer is now far enough along that we can start building shelves in it. This will help us use the space as efficient as possible. Who knew that shelves could be linked together and inherit the settings of the original shelf? I sure did not know when I first played, so I set everything up manually, shelf by shelf, for a few hours, and I felt like a little dum-dum when I learned that it was actually just one click. When Tiny pops out of nowhere with a resocialization offer, I almost forgot she existed. I mean, let's be real, she's kind of a hot mess. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and with no researcher, I decided to give it a shot. I mean, who knows what could have happened before she falls into a coma and kicks the bucket. And let's be real, I'm pretty desperate at the time. Then Victor decides to throw a harmony jubilee, and I'm thinking to myself, I need someone who shares my religion and who can actually speak about it, so this is going to be good for progress. But Rosales gives a speech about snacks and friends and even mentions Maria's new peg leg, which made her blush a little bit. But unfortunately the jubilee was considered pretty boring by those who participated, but hey, we're trying here, okay? Pretty unexpected, a wanderer named Moth comes strolling into our colony in the evening. She had nowhere to go, and I thought, why not give it a shot? And let me tell you, that was the best decision I have made all day. This girl can shoot, she can hit hard, she had mad artsy skills, and she got 11 points in plans. Which means we can now grow the psychot that Tiny needs so desperately. You know, sometimes you just gotta roll the dice and hope for the best. But today was also the day Tiny decides to go on an insulting spree. And let's just say it didn't end very well for her. She goes and insults Rosales, who's not only the leader of our colony, but also of our religion, and she's also in a really bad mood. And before you know it, Tiny gets slapped across the face with a fishing rod that Rosales just used. But being a strict but fair leader, Rosales brings Tiny back into the hospital. Another quest comes our way asking us to take care of a pet capybara for 17 days. No big deal, it won't be running around, it just needs a little bit of TLC. I accept it for Maria's honor. It should be an easy quest considering we got more than enough vegetables for now. But oh boy, the low female drone situation in our colony is really starting to get to people. Our new colonist Moth is the next one to start an insulting spree, but she manages to avoid getting beaten up this time. To distract Moth a little bit, I decided to set up a bill for sculptures to be made. We haven't invested any time into this until now, and it might be a perfect opportunity to foster her skills as an artisan. Thanks to the drone, Rosales fell into a state of daze. I really hope its influence will be over soon. I can't have another tantrum month like the last one, not now that we made so much progress. I spotted a few horses spawning next to our colony, and I thought to myself, well, in case we ever need to travel, it would be nice to have some spare horses on hand, and plus if we start breeding them, we can sell them for a pretty penny. Unfortunately, all the horses that spawned are already a little on the older side, so we will have to keep the young offspring. It is also about time to start micromanaging the moods of our colonists a little. With the new ideology DLC, we can do this by giving people their favorite colors to wear. I start this process one by one and start with Moth, who's having the hardest time right now. Next up, I need to make Victor a little bit happier. He's not a fan of his bedroom, so I decided to spruce it up a little bit and smoothing out the walls. I don't want to go too crazy though, because we got a jealous colonist who would flip their lid if they saw what I was doing. The next Manhunter pack hits the colony, and this time it's a pack of angry boom rats, and I'm so grateful that I upgraded the main trap to stone. I quickly realized that I need to improve the zoning of the colony before the boom rats attack us. I wanted to make the whole inner part of the colony accessible as a safe zone, because it also helps during raids that the packs actually go through the open trap entrance. And as I suspected, the rats run straight into the traps. I just got a brilliant idea how to boost my plants. I want to put down a growth light that's under like a rooftop tile. For that, I need a generator because I do not want to run a cable through the entire base. So I tell the colonists to dig out a little room in the hill opposite of the colony. Once that was done, Maria placed the generator in there and we put a roof on top. Next, we get a quest asking us to take care of some pesky timber wolves that were annoying the Shattered Empire. We agree for a rope, honor, and some silver. Before the Timberwolves arrive, we also attempt another leader speech, which turned out to be actually quite encouraging. So Rosales is able to give leadership speeches after all. The two Timberwolves arrive on the map, and all I had to do was keep some colonists outside so they would trigger the hunting on the wolves, and they would run straight into the traps. Easy peasy. At this point, we're actually not picky. Timberwolf will make a good meal as well. And thanks to the quest being fulfilled, Maria got her honor with the Empire, and she also got silver and a rope for her. I decided that if she wants to be a Psycaster, then she needs all the Psycaster stuff anyway. Oh, Randy, it looks like we had a little excitement today with all those cargo pods dropping, Randy sent me a bunch of unfertilized eggs, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Owning riches in eggs also means that I can start building my throne in the Great Kitchen, because some silly quest said I need a throne. I never thought to be a queen, but I guess it's quite acceptable. My grow light situation is a bit of a shell lock. I can't tell if it's working or not because my plants are getting the same boost inside and outside the radius. Looks like I might have executed it the wrong way. But hey, it worked in the previous playthrough. Maria's getting a new look. I'm sending her back to the styling table to dye her new robe and give her a new hairdo. She has been bought before and I don't want her to feel excluded. The miasma pillars are at it again, raiding us with a waster and a demon dude. I wouldn't have minded keeping the waster, but they both ran straight into the traps and died instantly. The look left behind wasn't excellent, especially since the gun was biocoded and no one else can use it. But at least the raid is over and we're done with it. And yes, I'm going to stop with the egg puns. Now it's time to get our green thumbs dirty. I just planted another grow zone under the grow light, and this time for cotton. It's a bit boring, but we need it for all those fancy mods and crafts in here. I also made sure to put some till soil under it. Hopefully it will take root. Speaking of taking root, we had a visitor drop by and give us some medicine as a gift. I guess it's better than nothing considering that he was pretty disappointed with our guest beds, aka sleeping spots on the floor. Next up, we get a new colonist wanting to join our little community. Her name is De La Cruz, and she's looking to join us permanently. I've accepted her request, and she's not too terrible. She got 4 passions in art, melee, mining, and crafting, which could come handy in the future. We'll have to start specializing people anyway at some point, and her traits are a little bit awkward, but I think we can work around it. Well, it was a wild and crazy day at the colony, and now we have a sneaky little varg sneaking around looking for a tasty human snack. Luckily, I had my trusty sidekick Maria around, armed with her trusty rifle. She thought she had the upper hand, but that sneaky varg got a jump on her and chomped on her like a human burrito. But like a true superhero, Victor came to the rescue and took down the varg. With all the chaos, Rosales decided to throw another Harmony Jubilee, and let me tell you, the mood was electric despite the solar flare. Victor finally mustered up the courage and talked to Rosales, and I'm pretty sure it was the corpse in the corner of the room that really sealed the deal. Victor finally decided to break free from his old flame Tabitha and set his sights on the new leader in the town. I mean, when you know what you like, you know what you like, but let's just say Rosales better watch out, because it seems like Victor has one type: powerful and strong leaders. Maria is recovering in the hospital, but she's already planning her revenge on the darn vargs. Victor, high on endorphins, decided to schedule a conversion ritual. Chili, our resident doctor and social butterfly and psychopath, seemed to be the perfect candidate for the sous chef role. I mean, he's a great leader too, but we need someone to help convert people to our religion right now. And would you believe it? The ritual was successful, and Chili was fully convinced to join our religion. Talk about a big step. Even I had to read it twice to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Not wasting any time, we retired Victor as a sous chef, no hard feelings Victor, and made Chili the new moral leader. And let me tell you, a psychopath without moral boundaries is really the best person, being a moral guide of a religion. Tiny, our little mess of a waster, felt very confident trying to convert colonists left and right. And she was on top not really unsuccessful with it, so it's important to start converting her as well. Then she can convert people to our religion and not whatever she calls her own religion. Right after, Moth and Victor decided to find a solution for an argument in shoving fists into each other's faces. A social fight broke loose between those two, and they realized rather quickly that this is not the way to argue. But all the fighting has taken a toll on the clothing of the colonists. Many clothing have tears and holes. Some tried to patch it up themselves, but I ordered to make some more clothes so the colonists could switch out broken pieces. Tiny has been researching a lot, which is great because we finally have some progress in our colonists' knowledge. After losing Tabitha, no one really had the knowledge to do research work, and it really shows. We finished the noble apparel research because from my knowledge we need it later for when Maria becomes more and more royal. She will demand better clothing and better environment, so preparing for it is probably not wrong. As the next research, I invest some time into the royal apparel because it's only 400 points and it will be done rather quickly. Checking on the capybara quest, we are a day away from actually finishing it, so Maria will get even more honor this way. This was overall a really nice quest because I didn't have to do anything other than just feeding the capybara and providing a spot for sleeping. Next, the Shattered Kingdom asked me for 3 workers to work for them for the next 11 days, and usually this would be a task that I couldn't fulfill because having to give away 3 workers is usually tough. At some point everyone has their roles, and removing them from their roles causes things to not run smoothly anymore. But luckily for me is that I just recently got 3 workers that I didn't plan on getting, and they do not have fixed roles yet, and they just do whatever needs to be done right now. So I decided to take the quest again for honor and send Tiny, Moth and De La Cruz into the quest. The shuttle arrives and my 3 people are gone for the next 11 days, leaving me with less mouths to feed and less potential for social fighting and other kind of conflicts. Especially with our combination of colonists, there is a lot of potential for fighting, since I took people in that I would usually not take in and send away, but this time I had to save the religion, so I couldn't be picky. Agreeing on fulfilling the quest has now also changed Maria's title. I have not done any of the ceremonies it asked me to do because I couldn't fulfill the requirements. Not sure if that's actually good or bad, but maybe it's good in the sense that Maria is now more down to earth. And the next Shattered Empire quest hits us. This time a requested negative event. The Empire wants to test the weather drone and asked us to be their guinea pigs.
For the next 6.3 days, which is like oddly specific if you ask me, I'm going to have foggy rain in the colony. I can get some nice Mastercraft items for it, and that's why I choose to take the quest. Right now, we don't really need sunshine. We have enough food in case it stops growing, and the rain might even help for keeping forest fires to not escalating. So I hope every colonist gets some cozy blankets and a hot chocolate for a week because it's going to be a misty cold weather. Talking about cozy, cuddly blanket weather, Rosales and Victor had to overdo this yet again. And well, Rosales ended up pregnant, and oh boy. I did raise children in Rimworld before and it was fairly successful, but our colony is not quite in the stage to be child-friendly or welcoming. Hence we don't even have a proper hospital, but still only our hospital kitchen. I don't have a spot for a child to sleep or somebody to teach it, but it happened now and we have to prepare for it. The easiest preparation is to get a bedroom for the kid. For that, I remove the guest sleeping spots on the ground and also make the room bigger by carving a bit in the mountain wall. While I do have the risk of infestation spawning inside the rooms, more inside the mountain is also a more stable temperature, and in our only summer climate, the biggest threat is actually heat waves, so we don't want to put a child through that, and so it's a good plan for now. Raising children in Rimworld can be challenging, but it's not super hard if you're prepared. You need to make sure to have proper food, someone who takes care of them. Later in the game you can also have them grow in grow beds until they become a child and can help with the work, but I never did this. I rather have them already have a social connection with the people caring for them and then have in the long run less conflicts. Also, finally the capybara quest finished and we can send Little Unrest home to its owner. The children's bedroom is slowly taking shape. We have a kid's bed, and I'm placing a toy box, which will make the overall mood of the kid better. Unfortunately, there is no animation of them playing with the toys, but it just acts as a mood boost. We need to face one thing. We need more space on the colony, and I can't go deeper into the mountain because I will risk more infestations that way. So I decided to construct a wall at the south side of the colony next to the freezer room. This will give plenty of additional space. I can't have visitors over anymore, but for now that's okay because we can set up a visitor spot as soon as we have more space again. Right now I don't really need them in between all of my preparations for Rosales having her baby. I'm roughly planning out the rooms and also planning of getting people their own bedrooms. While barracks are okay in the beginning, not having the debuff from getting woken up every time someone enters the room is kind of min-maxing I'm willing to do at this stage of the game. Visitors ask if they can come by and help a little. And I'm hesitant, and I ultimately declined this quest because I had my bloodiest accidents when those visitors turn on me and start attacking my colonists. It requires some prep work to make it less likely by stripping them off of their armor and weapons, but I feel like I don't have enough time right now, so no visitors. Victor decides to hide in his room. Well, Victor, you were involved in this mess, so I guess it's time to take some responsibility. Ivy takes her frustration she's feeling to dig out the walls in the future rooms of the colony, and she's actually feeling happier and happier doing it. Maria starts supporting her. Both are my main miners and constructors, and that way both can also improve their skills a little bit. If they don't work in the field they have their best knowledge, they will lose the knowledge. So it makes sense to foster those skills once in a while. By the end of the day, we already did a lot of progress. The room is enclosed and has a roof, and everything from now on is just work that needs to be done inside to have separate rooms. I'm going with 3 separate rooms that are about the same size, while the middle room needs to be a little bit smaller to provide a little hallway. All rooms will have a wooden floor since it's the easiest now. But while planning, I realized that my colony stopped working. Not entirely sure why, I quickly figured it out. We have used up all our wood in the storage. But nothing easier than that. I tell them to cut a lot more trees outside. We haven't cut any trees in a while, therefore we have a lot of regrowth outside the colony. And now the generator broke. Luckily Victor already takes care of it. In the long run, I really need a better generator like the steam one we could build in the east. But I'm not sure if we can actually get it done in the time. With the new rooms built, I decide to move the kitchen to the closest room to the storage. That way I can finally separate kitchen from hospital, make some space for shelves with medication in the hospital. That was actually always a problem because they needed to run all over the place before doing any medical treatment. The colonists quickly moved stove and anything else needed over into the new room, and I realized I don't have a path to the kitchen yet. I need to make the kitchen room taller so I can have access to the free spot in the freezer wall. Otherwise they have to walk through the entire colony for anything food related, and especially they have to walk through the hospital, which make the hospital absolutely dirty. Once everything is moved, I build the shelves in the hospital and only allow medication to go in there. Again, I link the shelf so I only have to set it up once and call it a day. Next, I start moving the beds from the barracks into the single bedrooms. Here I need to see who feels the most uncomfortable being in a barrack and also who's the longest in the colony and deserves some privacy. For now, it's Maria and Chili who get their own bedrooms. They are also here at the moment. The 3 others who sleep in the barracks aren't for the next few days, so moving the ones that are actually sleeping in the room right now makes sense. Next, I set up the storage zone outside to hold more items, especially steel and wool, after seeing that they don't haul it anymore because they usually store it inside, but the space inside is limited. I also make more space for meals to actually get stored, so I set up the floor in the freezer as a holding zone for meals. I also set stones and stone blocks to be stored outside, and suddenly the very stuffed room inside is very empty again. That will also make the colonists happy because every piece that is not on the floor but in shelves doesn't affect their mood negatively. Next, I get a quest helping some poor vagabonds. They ask for penoxysilene. While I think I don't even have it, as usually I would just decline the quest and ignore it. But then I figured, since I can technically do with those visitors what I want, how about checking them out and see if they are of use? And lo and behold, Lisa Duerty is a genie, which means that she is an insane researcher and usually also a very good crafter. While I got the crafting covered, having a better researcher might be really good, especially because Tiny was just an emergency solution. Also, both vagabonds are my religion. How can I not recruit them? While T is not so amazing, he's a planter, which I already have, I'm more interested in Lisa. So how do I convince them to join me? Let's arrest them. Arresting them is tricky. I need to find out which colonist has the highest chance for the arrest. I pause the game and experiment around. Chili grabs Lisa and arrests her, without problems. But that made T hostile and angry. That means we have to use force against him because he will probably not willingly and happily follow her into this new prison cell. So I risked pregnant Rosales attacking him, and she actually managed to down him without killing him. She took quite a beating though, so she should be looked after. Rosales picked up T and brings him into the prison cell where Chili tends to his wounds. Lisa got the better room and is unharmed. Rosales, despite bleeding, is fine. She is such a badass. This is why she is the leader of the colony. I set both colonists to recruit. I don't have to switch their beliefs, so it should be a fairly easy job, especially now that we have people with existing social skills. But just as T was on his legs again, he decided to have a tantrum and try to get out of his cell. Okay, granted, it's not really the nicest one and I have no light and the sleeping spot is just like a spot on the ground. But to be honest, I didn't get to proper set these up anyway. Chili and Rosales are in their duty to take care of T. And just when the door of the prison cell came down, Rosales stood in the way for T to escape and took all of his hits from him trying to get past her. Behind Rosales was Chili with a dart gun, confidently aiming at T's neck with a tranq dart. And if you ask me, the tranq gun was already so much worth its early purchase. Having one of these on hand to knock out colonists that misbehave might be a little harsh, but it probably saved a lot of lives already. With T sleeping in his bed spot and the door planned for replacement, we could finally have a breather. T got tended because he hit his head falling down when he got tranked, but other than that, he's just fine. Well, as fine as he can be in the situation. With all the stress and Rosales progressing her pregnancy, I try to get as many good mood buffs as possible, so another harmony jubilee it is. Rosales talks about the past days, the new prisoners who are hopefully soon colonists on their own. She talks about how a new little colonist will be born soon, and I'm pretty sure I saw Maria having some tiny tears of happiness in her eyes. It was an unforgettable event for everyone, and the colonists leave the great kitchen very happy. Chili focuses from now on recruiting the prisoners. As a moral guide and my only social person in the colony, he's not only the best but also the only choice for this job. While Lisa is convinced just slowly, she's in a bad mood. T is really keen on getting out of that hole as quick as possible. His resistance drops almost triple as quick as Lisa's. We still struggle keeping the electricity stable, especially nobody seems to care to fill the generator. Slightly annoying, but that means someone has to take care of it now in the middle of the night. Since we still have the forest for grain, I don't want to risk to lose the food and might not be able to regrow it. We get sent a quest that sends unstoppable angry cats our way. Looks like Randy takes a break from all those Yorkshire Terriers. We accept the quest for a Psylink Neuroformer. I assume that is the same thing that Maria will get for her royalty. Means we could probably have 2 Psycasters. I mean, why not? We take the quest cause what do we have to lose? Our traps should be fine catching them early, before they even enter the colony. And right after I accepted the quest, a manhunter pack attacked, and I was already surprised how quickly they were. But those were not cats. It turns out Randy had a special surprise sending angry monkeys as well. I actually had to check if this was maybe a bug and the game sent the wrong animals, but if you have Randy around, it's most likely not a bug, but Randy being Randy. I'm surprised he didn't choose Yorkshire Terriers again, and I wonder if he maybe ran out of them. The monkeys and the cats ran into my traps as predicted, but they also destroyed almost all of the traps that led to my base. In the long run, I might need to make this trap area even longer, or build a completely new trap that does not have to rely on rebuilding the traps all the time, since it can be tricky when you have several packs or a larger group attacking you. Next, I decided to put religious sandstone flooring into the big room to the left that formed after closing of the mountain. My plan is to make this the new religious room and the new great kitchen, while the old one can be the throne room for Maria. I saw that those are not supposed to be in the same room. While choosing this complex flooring, I didn't realize that only people from the religion will be able to work on it. So now this is going to be Victor's only job until the baby's there. T got recruited and he couldn't run quickly enough out of his prison cell to grab some clothing and avoid having a major breakdown. Finally, a trader visits our colony again and I managed to make a few sales. The ambrosia gets sold, some animals, stuff I found while fishing, and poorly made statues. People actually pay for the stuff, surprisingly. I also decided to buy 2 pigs to see if that will cover our meat demand, because we don't really have hunters right now. The pregnancy countdown for Rosales is starting. 6 more days and the little new colonist will be here with us. Time to get all the preparation ready. Luckily, I already did this. The hospital is ready and going, the children's bedroom is prepared, and I might have to set up some baby food before the baby's here. Not even out of his prison cell for 10 minutes, T decides to flirt with Maria and she immediately fell for him. This time, it's just innocent, normal love, no affair, no cheating on people, just 2 colonists that fell in love with each other. I went over to build their bigger bed so they can share a bedroom with each other when I realized that Maria's religion forbids them to sleep together until they're married. Well, at least now she has some stronger motivation to switch religions. Now Lisa is recruited and well, she is having a very heavy body purist debuff and I wonder why that is. Is it maybe because Maria has a pack lag or something else is going on? I might have to investigate, but it makes her very unhappy. Since Lisa is now available for research and only research, I can look into bigger research projects like microelectronics. This will keep her busy and distracted for a while. Chili offered to do another conversion ritual with Maria. The chances are okay-ish, but it is worth even if it just takes away a few percentages of her beliefs. And the ritual was very effective, even though she didn't fully convert, her certainty of her old religion dropped from 46% to 16%, and this is big. Only one more successful talk to Chili and she might be converted. The last leader speech before Rosales will have her baby. She announces that she will take a pause from leadership duties for now because of her pregnancy. And everyone is listening to what she has to say. She announces that when the baby is here, the whole colony has to jump in and help. She talks about the sense of community that she wants to foster, and she also welcomes Lisa and T to the community. The colonists leave the event encouraged. Together, they can do it. Another trader drops by and they decide to buy more weapons for the colonists. Now, with that many people, I think the raids are going to be larger and ultimately it's good for the colonists to have weapons to defend themselves. I get a quest to save someone with a damaged shuttle, and while I usually would do it, cause it's a good quest to get your fighting skills up, it's close to Rosales giving birth and I don't want her to plop out her minion on the battlefield, so for now the Shattered Empire has to look for someone else. Since Lisa is new, she can also choose her favorite color for clothing and gets a makeover to make her happier. And same goes for Tiny, who hasn't had a makeover yet. So I go with something colorful to even out her gray skin. Chili's time to shine is here to try to convert Maria to friends as snacks, and lo and behold, he is successful. Not only is Maria now part of the religion and can share a bed with her beloved T, she can now also help Victor with building the new great kitchen, something Victor is really happy about. And then it begins. Rosales is in labor. Nobody panics, especially not Victor, because that usually ends up in people dying, and also not Chili, because he's the doctor and that will definitely end in people dying. But maybe Chili just stands for how chill he is, and not for how spicy he can be, who knows. For the burst I can choose who participates. That will improve the success rate, so I choose Victor because he is responsible for the mess, then I choose Maria because she represents the stability of this colony, and lastly Lisa to help with her knowledge if needed. After what felt an eternity, a little baby girl was born and slipped Chili out of his hands next to the hospital bed. Typically. Chili grabs the little girl and brings her into her bedroom while Rosales can recover from the birth. Most important, the baby is healthy and the mother is healthy. Chili did a great job for the most part. And now it's up to naming the little one. It was a decision made by the whole community. While stories start, then end, and start and end again, it was just fitting to call the baby Tabitha. In memory of our first great leader who got kidnapped and hopefully still thinks of us wherever she may be. And with little Tabitha born, this is where our story ends for now. The story of the colony of the happy canny papayas who lost their leader, went into hardship of mental struggles, death, religious crisis, but managed to build each other up, recovering from whatever Randy did throw at them. Will the story continue? Maybe, but I'm sure there are many more stories untold that deserve to be discovered. For now, stay delicious.